We're here in one of the most beautiful cities in the world. Absolutely incredible. Vienna, and this is the headquarters and design center of Lewitt Microphones. The second floor of this beautiful building. They have the whole floor. Let's go and meet Roman. Roman, how are you?
Hi, Warren.
Great to see you.
Nice to see you.
This is very exciting. You've got the whole floor.
Yes. Come in, please. Yeah.
The whole floor.
The whole floor. Yeah.
Dang. So Roman, show us around. What does everybody do here?
Well, on this side of our company, we have our creative area.
Yep.
So we have a content creation department, we have marketing, and we have product design here.
Fantastic.
So sales is also here. So that is where we basically design our products. All is done in-house.
Fantastic.
And product management sits there. So we are actually in constant contact with the Austrian community of recording engineers and artists,
That's
but
amazing.
also on an international level, because we want to actually develop products for the market. So
Right.
we keep a very close connection to our target audience. And ourselves, we are also, a lot of our people are recording enthusiasts, engineers, and even artists. Yes.
See a beautiful guitar sitting over there with,
Yes.
with an amp.
Yes, indeed.
So who has that? Oh, it's a Hagstrom as well.
That is Thomas, and he does our texts, our editor.
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays bass guitar and guitar.
Right, great.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to have music in a musical company, isn't it?
Oh, definitely necessary. Yeah.
So over there, these are the marketing.
This is the marketing department.
To the right-hand side.
Community management, content management,
Yep.
and SEO. And yeah, like I said, we keep close touch with our local community here, and also on an international level, because we feel it's very important to develop things that are really used. After all, we are audio enthusiasts, so we have very clear ideas what we want, what we like, and at the same time we wanna see that actually we are not off track, and therefore, in every development we include the community out there.
Wonderful.
Well.
Makes perfect sense. And what are these guys doing over here?
This is mechanic design. So
Right.
I think Gernot is designing currently enclosure for one of our new projects, which we cannot show right now in detail.
Okay.
Yeah.
When's that coming out? The new
NAM 2020 actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So soonish.
Yeah.
Ish?
Very soonish. Yeah.
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 Coming up for the winter. Great.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're not allowed to show this thing that I'm looking at?
We have content creation team.
Yep.
So this is where all our pictures and videos and audio files are done.
Oh, fantastic.
So we have all of that in-house because it's very important to us also to basically portray what we are doing here in the right light. So
I think that's really smart.
yeah.
Yep,
Yes.
I agree. Rather than farming it all out all the time.
True.
And your stuff's pretty darn high quality. Now, what do you got hiding in here?
Well, we've moved in quite recently, and this is very new, so not so much stuff in here. But
Right.
as you can see, a lot of drawers, so plenty of space for samples, R&D stuff.
Was this an existing facility like this, or did you have stuff designed to your needs?
Well, this building is quite old,
Yeah.
and it was refurbished and modernized a year ago. And we had the opportunity to get this floor in here, and we basically made it according to our needs. So we
Great.
have meeting rooms up there with 3D printing machines, for example,
Right.
and cabinet. That's very simple, right?
Yeah.
But I want to show you actually our soon-to-be recording and studio room.
So are you going to separate this into a control room and a live room?
No, we're not going to separate it, but it's going to be one big room, multifunctional room,
Yep.
where we basically will listen to our microphones, evaluate microphones, where we can also have small live performances. And also we use it together with engineers from Vienna or international engineers in order to test our products and learn about what is needed. And we always did this in our development process, and this is going to be finally our new environment. And as you can see, this is what we came up with as an... So actually there's going to be a lot of acoustic treatment obviously in here, and it's going to be the perfect acoustic environment to listen and to evaluate our products.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And bring people in, like you're saying, and test them out.
Well, and over here actually we are developing our products. So we got all kinds of development going on here, mechanic development, electronic development, software. And I can show you a few of the things we do here. So one of the specialities is actually that we not only develop our products ourselves, but also the means to measure them and to ensure quality. So these are all custom-built devices by us, by our engineers.
Great.
And it ranges from a high SPL tester, for example. That in itself is
I'm just trying to figure out how that works.
Well, there's a speaker module in here.
Yeah.
And the tricky thing is basically that you want to generate a high SPL signal.
Sure.
That is not distorted, because you don't want to have the distortion from the speaker.
Right.
You want to measure the possible distortion of the capture, right?
Absolutely.
So that in itself is quite a technical feat.
Yeah.
And this is, it's not a device which you can go and buy out there. So it's something you need to do yourself actually. And same as like this wind device, where you basically test how a microphone reacts on wind,
I see.
right?
You've got a huge propeller at the end here, fan.
Yes.
Yeah.
And here the trick is basically you want to create a very uniform wind movement so that it can make it measurable. Or another nice device is actually this one here. It's a pop tester. So what we have here is a box and a big speaker generating an impulse in order to simulate plosives like P.
Sure. That's amazing.
And therefore you have a defined opening in here where this airflow, this transient goes through.
Oh, I see here.
Yeah, now you can hear a slight sound.
You can feel the wind.
Oh yeah, I mean you can. The low level. I mean the speaker is going like this.
It's 5 hertz.
5 hertz.
Yeah, so it's actually quite something for the speaker, and it will produce. Where the speaker is, it's actually 140 dB.
Yeah.
And it's producing the wind that's coming out there. Now that's it. So that's doing the plosives.
Yeah.
Well-defined, 100% reproducible plosives.
Right. That's great.
I can check.
So you can go from mic to mic.
Yeah, and I can modify mics and have it tested again. To see.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So what's this doing?
Well, this is a fairly ordinary measurement. It's for frequency response and polar patterns.
Okay.
As you can see, we are here in an office environment, and therefore in this room we can go down to 100 hertz or so, which is sufficient for our purpose in development. In our factory, we have anechoic chambers where we can go even further down with the frequency measurement. That is also automated and well-defined positioning, so you can replicate what you measure actually.
Fantastic.
This is a laser vibrometer.
Yeah.
So with this laser, basically you can measure surfaces, vibrating of surfaces. And what you do is basically you have what we call a shaker, for example. And the shaker shakes the specimen in a defined way.
So it's going to shake.
Yeah.
So it's like handling noise. And I can measure all the acceleration and the velocities like here and on the membrane itself.
Yep.
And I can work my way through to have a completely decoupled system.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So we can evaluate how good are microphones in shielding structure-borne noise.
So for
with
live microphones,
live
measuring,
purposes,
for
yes.
handling noise, that's great.
But also for mounting captures in a studio microphone enclosure, you also want to dampen them as good as possible.
Right.
And this is what we do with this device.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never really thought about that, how you would measure that stuff, other than going, yeah, this is pretty good.
That's what comes out in the end.
Yeah, exactly.
And last but not least, this is also nice.
Yeah, what's this?
That's like 0 dB in there.
Right?
And it's achieved by having really heavy metal sheets. I
Yeah.
think they should be like 3 centimeters or something like this.
Yeah.
More than an inch. So it has a lot of mass,
Yeah.
and it's completely decoupled with these air bumpers.
Yeah.
We call them air bumpers. So this does not take any vibration from the outer side.
Yeah.
And in this, there's even another one.
Right.
So it's really heavy. It's really low really low vibration in there.
Yeah.
And in the end, you can actually measure what the microphone would sound like in a 0 dB
Wow.
surrounding. And that is why our microphones have a good low noise,
Right.
because we can
The best
actually
low
work
noise.
on this.
Yeah. So what's going on in here?
Well, this is
This is the top secret area?
more or less, yeah. Yeah.
Hello.
Hi guys.
Hi there.
Frans. Hi.
Hi, I'm Warren.
Frans, hello.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Martin.
Martin, nice to meet you.
Yeah, Frans
So-
and Martin are actually working on electronics
Yeah.
and also measuring systems.
So we're on the roof. This is
Yes.
absolutely beautiful. All of these church spires just sticking out
Right.
over the landscape. It's so
It's a
gorgeous.
360-degree Vienna view, so we're very blessed to have this rooftop.
Very
and,
blessed, yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm in some kind of Mission Impossible movie, and Tom Cruise is going to be bouncing across the roofs.
yeah. At least you can spot the film scenes from up here. I
Yeah,
guess.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Gorgeous.
Yeah, over there, that's St. Stephen's Cathedral
Yeah.
downtown. Yeah, first district basically is right here in front of us, where you have all the old buildings. So-
Right, that's where we drove past last night.
right.
Yeah, it was
yeah.
beautiful
So-
coming in, yeah.
oh, it's really beautiful. Yeah.
And then you were saying this is the
This
Emperor's
is
Palace?
the Emperor's Summer Palace.
Right.
It's now a huge park, and they got a zoo there as well. And it's used for recreation, so a lot of tourists, a lot
Yeah.
of Viennese people go there on weekends actually.
So the palace is the building in the back. What's the building at the front?
It also belongs.
Oh, so it's the whole thing's the palace?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
Okay, it's gorgeous.
All together, yeah.
And then there's so many hills around.
Yeah, in fact, actually, in Vienna is one of the few big capitals where you
Right.
have even vineyards.
Yeah,
So they're
Yeah.
still growing wine here.
beautiful.
Well, so this is one of our meeting rooms, and we also have 3D printers here to quickly verify our designs.
Yeah, you can open it up.
Oh, okay.
That's crazy.
So it's two different types of printers. The one this is with liquid, right? And this
resin.
resin, and that we use for creating very fine parts,
Yeah.
very accurate parts.
So are they then injection molded? How does it work? You take it?
No. What we do is basically we evaluate our designs.
So it's evaluated.
In the first place, it's maybe hand drawings, 2D,
Yeah.
right? Then we transform it into a 3D drawing. And when we think we are almost there, we always want to see it in real as well. So then it's always good to have 3D printers to quickly verify, does it look good? Does it have the right proportions? Can we assemble it?
Sure.
Yeah.
So they're not taking this and then using it to... No. They're taking your
We
drawings.
make our prototypes with this.
I understand.
We can even make functional prototypes with this,
Oh, fantastic.
so we can give it out to some early testers, try it ourselves
Great.
before we start, the tooling process and have the parts from the injection molding or
Wonderful.
die casting. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. I love this world. It's just... And then, if that one's resin, what's this one?
It's filament.
So it's carved.
Plastic filament.
Yeah.
PLA, for example.
So you have a roll with the material on the backside here, comes
Yeah.
into this tube, gets heated up, and then the printer prints it onto the surface.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a Lewitt maker.
It's a Lewitt maker, I saw that, yeah. And this one's called Please Close the Cover. Now it's a very beautiful looking some furniture you've got up here. Tell us about this.
Yes,
Gorgeous.
indeed. Well, actually, I got to travel a lot in the recent years. And so I learned a lot about Asia and China in particular. And I come fond of the tea drinking culture.
Right.
And this is a typical setup where you would drink tea in a...
Beautiful.
So it's a... As you can see, there's a lot of stone plate, right? And where you can prepare your tea here. When I traveled across Asia, I would sit in such, maybe not so fancy all of the time, of course, but I would sit in such an environment and I would have great conversations, even about difficult topics. Because it's always nice if you have a cup of tea to hold on and discuss things. Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Beautiful. So how's it boiling the water? Oh, I see. So
water comes from underneath. Yeah. So there's a water supply underneath, and also, actually, there's a drainage, right? So you basically can drain. But I'm not too happy with it right now, and therefore I'm about to make my own Lewitt version.
Good. Okay, so that begs the next question.
Yeah.
Why Lewitt? Why the name Lewitt? Because your name is not Lewitt.
No, my name is not Lewitt, and actually, it was back in these days when I needed a name for the company I'm about to start. I was on my own, and I thought about several names. I wanted whether it be in a name with a meaning or a fantasy word. So over the course of a few months, I gathered a lot of names basically. And then, there were a few requirements which I was really sure I want to meet. One is it shouldn't be a dirty word in any other language.
Sure.
And a somewhat musical sounding name. And to be possible to translate into not more than 3 Chinese characters. And
okay.
Yeah, in the end, I opted for Lewitt, yeah.
Right. Well, it's a very, it doesn't, what I like about it is it doesn't really have, it doesn't say any one particular culture over another, like one nationality. Okay. When I first started, I was like, that sounds sort of Anglo, sort of Germanic, sort of European, sort of everything.
Yeah, and that was part of this decision
Global.
process. We wanted to have something international, yeah.
Great.
Yeah. And yeah, lots of decision you need to
Then what about
make.
just simplicity, like the colors? The colors and the logo. Why the colors, why the logo?
Well, also that was a very, pragmatic decision because as I understand it, you need the one brand color, something that stands out.
Yep.
And at that time, we thought, well, our products most likely, I want to have them in black or in white, and they're non-colors. So branding-wise, we need something fresh, and that's why we opted then for green color, fresh lime green. Yeah.
I love the green, yeah.
All right.
And then the logo itself, is that a combination of the L and the W's or the L and the T's, or is it?
You're very close. Yes, in fact there are 3 L's in there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And also it was inspired by the guitar tip.
I was wondering if it was a pick.
As it is a pick.
A plectrum. as we like
Plectrum.
to say.
Yes.
What do you say in Austria, in German? Is it plectrum?
I think also plectrum. Yeah.
Plectrum. Yeah. So what are these speakers over here?
Well, that brings us back to my teenage days.
Right.
I always had a passion for music, so I listened a lot to music, and I also at one point tried to learn piano, but that didn't work out that well. And as a young teenager, I thought, how cool would it be to have your own PA system? Because we liked to party. I was, I think, 14 years old, and I started to go out, meet friends, and basically, yeah, what we didn't have at that time was a proper PA. And also what we didn't have at that time was a lot of money. So, I thought to myself what to do, and I came to the conclusion I want to build my own sound system.
Right.
And I started with the speakers, obviously. And yeah, was followed by a process where I selected the right speakers, and I learned about how to calculate the speaker cabinet, and drawings. And then, in the end, we came up, and a friend helped me to assemble them, and we came up with, pretty loud speakers.
Do you still have them connected?
Unfortunately not. They were connected with 3 amplifiers. So I had one dedicated amplifier for the subs, one for the mid tones, and one for the horns.
Nice.
And back then I opted for actually an active car crossover. That was the cheapest options at that time.
Yeah.
And it worked fine. I mean, it was really loud, and sound-wise, I think today I wouldn't be happy. But back then it was just perfect. We carried them around to different parents' homes, where not much to the likes of the parents and the neighbors. But we had a lot of fun with these speakers.
Fantastic. And they're blue.
Yes, they are.
So did you learn this on your own, or did you learn this, because I know you're in partnership with tell me about your partnership.
Well, I basically, there was a time where I was in the corporate world, and at one point I realized that is not for me, because a lot of the good ideas, they get swallowed up. It was a too rigid environment, so I thought I wanted to do something on my own. And I traveled a lot at that time, also in Asia and China, and met a lot of wonderful people there. And
what made you want to do that?
Well,
especially on your own volition, doing it on your own. I mean, it's like...
Yes, because exactly of that reason. There's a lot of, in the corporate world, there's a committee-driven R&D decisions, a lot of discussions and political decision findings. So I had the feeling that a lot of this creativity and a lot of the good ideas, they in the end don't get realized. And it's a real pity if you have a lot of ideas, and it's frustrating at one point, right? And so I said, well, I'm not happy there, so I need to do something new. I need to do something where I can realize all these good ideas. And so I set out and looked in my network to find people who are willing to join this idea. And it was followed by a period where basically I would start assembling a team in Austria and another one in China, actually. And I was very blessed to find a lot of wonderful people, experienced people, and very dedicated people. Because, in the beginning when you start out, company is very small. It takes a leap of faith and to put all your time and heart to it. And so, I was really lucky to have a few good people back then, and we steadily grew into a quite nice and neat group of wonderful people, very dedicated to do audio products.
What's interesting though is it's 10 years old now. You're coming up to your 10th anniversary. When did you start? What month?
Well, we started in August, actually.
So it'll be 10 years in August.
Yes, depending on where you start counting, because our first introduction to the public was at NAMM 2010.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. That's where we first showed our products, and we were very ambitious back then. We started out with I think 15 products.
Wow.
At once. Yeah.
So wait there. So between August and January, you designed 15 products?
No, not really.
Had you been
started earlier. There was a process where a lot of conversations, a lot of work went into defining, and then designing products. So and in this process, it was very helpful to have not only a very experienced crowd of people here in Austria helping me with the design, but also to have a very reliable and good friend in China who was willing to join my idea and had the manufacturing capabilities in order to bring that to life. Because it's one thing if you design something, it's another thing if you want to build it in larger volumes. And so a lot of our strength lies also with our international setup, which we have,
So you're designing everything here, but you're building in China at factories that are owned by you.
Yes, that's correct. And
That's very unusual and very good.
Yeah, it's very helpful because it helps you to put a lot of focus on quality. It helps you when it comes to delivery, to production throughput, and it also protects our intellectual property,
Sure.
which is very important. Yeah.
No, I mean, I still think the 640 TS is one of the most remarkable microphones ever made.
Yes, I very much can agree, and I particularly liked when we decided to develop this product, because it was in our a lot of time we were thinking about products, what things we could develop, and one thing is to have an idea, which is cool and nice. The other thing is you need to think about how you bring that to life.
Sure.
And that is obviously a more tedious and more longer process you need to go through. And in case of the LCD 640 TS, we thought about it very early on, and then we didn't have the focus and time to realize it. And eventually, when we had the time, it was great fun to do this project.
I almost feel I underutilize it. I was thinking about that the other day, like when we were in Hansa. I was thinking we didn't bring one with us. I was like, there's so many situations that it would have been absolutely perfect. Hansa was a room that famously, not the big room, but the Studio One room is not that live. It's not a live room. It's a really good, dead sounding 70s drum room. And so every room mic just sounded like the same drum kit, but just pulled back slightly. So it just sounded like everything was delayed. And we were having a hard time getting a really good stereo image that was useful. And the thing about the 640 TS is the imagery, of course, is unbelievable.
Yeah, that's very much due to the construction, because there's only one capsule, in there, right?
Yeah.
And it still allows you to record in a stereo setup.
Insane.
You get two membranes of the same capsule.
Yeah.
They're virtually in the same spot.
Yeah.
So that's how you get this razor sharp imagery.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I feel like if there was one product anybody was to ask me, especially if they're recording drums or pianos, like, I mean, we've put it up against everything. Stereo 87s on piano. It just sounds better than it's. It's and it's at sort of a $900. I think it's like $899. I don't. How can you get better than that? I mean, any one microphone to create the stereo is more expensive than that.
Right. And it's also part of the challenge. We want to provide products which are innovative. We provide products that are state of the art, technically very advanced, but also at an affordable price.
Right.
And if you think about it, an LCD 640 TS, it's basically two multi-pattern microphones in one housing.
Yeah.
And that housing is not a very big one, right? It's a very space-saving housing also.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So, but then of course your flagship mic that probably got you known was the 940.
Yes, indeed, yeah. LCD 940 is our tube microphone and
FET.
And FET microphone.
Yeah.
So there you again have two microphones in one housing. It allows you to blend between tube sound and FET sound. And it's a beautiful sounding mic, and since you can blend between these two characters, it fits to almost every voice out there. So it's very practical as well.
And I like using it when you've got one singer and you want to do lead vocals and backgrounds. There is that much of a difference that if you do the lead vocal on the tube and then you go to the FET, the EQ curve or whatever the characteristics of the mic change just enough that the one vocal sits here and the other one sits just there.
Yeah.
So it's like having two microphones in one, which is very useful with one singer.
Yeah, indeed. It allows you to place the different sources in the mix. Yeah.
Yeah, very much.
Very nice.
So, 10 years. That's pretty crazy how far you've come.
Yeah, like I said before.
You're in it, so it probably seems slow. But it probably seems slow when you're in it, but considering how far you've come, it's pretty huge.
Yeah. I consider myself really blessed. I started out with just being fond of audio devices and like to listen to music. And I think it's important that if you have a passion for something, that you really follow up on it and really do things. and eventually you will get somewhere at least, yeah.
Right.
Of course, there's also luck involved in all this, but nowadays I consider myself very lucky because I'm here with all these wonderful people, and they are also audio devotees. They really like what they do. They are perfectionists. We have one half of the company is more into the creative part, like product management, product design. We keep a very close connection to the local audio community, but also to international recording artists and artists themselves, because it's important to us that we verify what we develop and do.
So speaking of which, I obviously mainly concentrate on recording,
Right.
but you have a huge division when it comes to live stuff. So what does that involve? Does that mean you're having to turn up at shows and,
Yeah, we do turn up at shows, and we also invite the artists and also the live engineers to our office, where we test products together. We find out what they need, what we think is helping them, and it's always a conversation. So it's very important to us that this is done with the community, because after all, we are also audio guys, and we consider ourselves also part of this community.
Sure.
And it helps us to really develop products which are spot on, and that's what we want to do. So we are also very engineer driven. Quite a large proportion of our company are university graduates and PhDs, and they are really perfectionists. They really are in developing product for the sake of having a challenge and solving problems. So quite often it happens actually that we have to slow them down at times, yeah, because they are really up to they want to find even a better or a more difficult challenge if you, basically not steer them in the right direction. But I think it's good to have such people.
It's good to be around
on
smart
board.
people.
Yeah, right, very much.
Who's been with you the longest here?
It's about Chris, our R&D, head of R&D, and head of technology actually now. Then there's Moritz, product management, Mike in sales. So they've been with me for many years now.
Right.
And in the early days, it was just us sitting either at home or in a coffee shop discussing our product ideas. I vividly remember one time where we basically were sitting in a coffee shop, vibrantly discussing about technology to use for a product. And unfortunately, we forgot that there's other people sitting around us. So eventually, the lady next to us would stand up and tell us, "Please, can you lower your voices? I'm having my coffee here." Yeah. So we were basically lowering our voices, but not too long. We were in the same situation again. So eventually, we had to leave this coffee shop. Yeah. But it was fun back then, and nowadays it's also a lot of fun. I mean, I get to sit in this nice office, having tea with wonderful people, discussing about great audio ideas.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I know you have some secret ideas coming out, so you can't be specific about the things that you're developing, but how do you see the future? What is your plan? What is your vision?
Well, what we want to do and continue is to develop innovative products, to do the things we like to do. We are engineering perfectionists, we are audio devotees, so we really want to keep on doing what we do in a nice environment. You know, one strength of Lewitt is basically that we are here in a sweet spot. We're not too small, so we have the right size to even tackle very complex engineering tasks. At the same time, we are not the big corporations, so we are very agile and we have a good communication and a holistic view on all of these projects, and that is a big advantage, and I want to keep it that way. And it also makes a very fun workplace. Sure. You know the people you're working with. They're not only colleagues but friends most often, and we are having a great time here, drinking tea, discussing products.
So, Roman, this is Chris, I believe.
Yes, our head of technology.
Shake my hand, my friend. So the reason why we wanted to bring you in is because we wanted to talk about, seeing as you're the head of technology, about the design of the mics. And Roman is holding the 640 TS, which I'm sure anybody watching knows is one of my personal favorite microphones, and I think a massively groundbreaking microphone. So why don't I throw you under the bus, Chris, and you tell us a little bit about the design of this. Firstly, what made you think of this? The fact that it's one capsule and it can hear from both sides simultaneously, making it, quite frankly, the most accurate stereo microphone I've ever heard in my life. So what made you think about designing that?
Well, when we started, actually, we had our predecessor, the standard LCT 640, and in the past, actually, we already used the capsules which had a front and a back signal, and what we did is actually we just mixed it down inside the microphone, and then later on, actually, the customer had to choose the right polar pattern during the time of recording. And we thought actually, well, we want to bring the customer the flexibility to that one. So actually what we created is here 2 microphones in a single housing, because there's one recording path for the front signal, one recording path for the back signal. And actually we have 2 outputs, and then on the PC side or later on, with your recording software, you can decide later on actually which polar pattern does fit best for your purpose on that one. That was actually, or flexibility was the thing we had in mind actually. Right. And with that came the challenge actually, same space, same amount of phantom power, but making 2 microphones in one housing.
And you did it.
We did it, yeah.
It's fantastic. We've used this on on pianos, and it's been the most in-phase, most accurate piano sound I've ever heard. Basically, we were at Blackbird, in Nashville, and I leant over the piano, I placed the 640 TS here, and then put a pair of spaced 87s to try and get a typical way I record piano, which is always sound fantastic with 87s. And then we recorded the piano, and playing back, it just felt like you were literally standing here in front of the piano. It was absolutely beautiful. I've done it on drum kits in mono, and it's just, you literally close your eyes and you just hear the hi-hat here, you hear the tom fills going on. There is no mess whatsoever in the center. The stereo field is absolutely perfect, better than I even heard with a binaural head. So
yeah, that's actually the beauty of the design, having actually only one capsule that can record in stereo.
Yep.
Because it's
there is no matching, because it's matched by design. That's the thing. Because otherwise you have match pair. Here it's one thing. It's perfectly matched. From the acoustics point, from the capsule point, it's the same, which actually removes a lot of problems.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Did you win a bunch of awards for this? I hope you did.
Yeah, we did. We did.
Good. Yeah. You deserve it. It's a miraculous mic, and I think in America it's like $900. That's
yes,
a street price.
$899. Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Chris, what was the first mic you designed?
The first mic actually were most likely the 246, the first 640. When we started, we did a whole line nearly together.
I know.
I think what was the first one? I think it was 240.
240, 540, and 640. That was the first mics we've been working together on. Yeah.
Yeah, Roman said you launched your first NAMM show with 15 mics?
Yeah, around 15 mics in total.
Come out, guns blazing, swinging, 15 mics. Most people launch with a mic.
Yeah, right. We actually had we put the requirements to ourselves that we want to have a real product portfolio.
Yeah.
And then launch, yeah.
So we just demoed the 040s and the 140 Air. That's correct, isn't it?
Yeah, correct,
and the Air, by the way, is fantastic on acoustics. Because I used to have this old microphone from the GDR. I can't remember what the model was. It was an old Gefell. And what I loved about it, until it broke, what I loved about it is it had this kind of hyped high end, which wasn't brittle. And you'd put it on an acoustic guitar, and it would just sing. Now, you brought out the 140 Air, and it does the same thing for me. So suddenly I can put it on an acoustic guitar, and I don't have to EQ. I don't have to do any work whatsoever. It just adds that beautiful kind of hand that's not brittle.
All right. So actually you use it in air mode.
In air mode, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, because otherwise, I've already got 140s.
You're right. Yeah.
And I was like, well, what's the advantage of this? And then I remembered that old mic that I used to have and how I loved the fact that I didn't have to do any work. And I was thinking, I wonder if this will do the same thing. And it does. So what was the thinking behind it? To sort of like add some presence to, a small diaphragm mic so it could be used for those kind of purposes?
Actually, definitely. We wanted to have 2 different sound options.
Right.
One that is more, so to say, larger than life, and one who is really highly realistic and detailed. and that we did by actually having this pronounced high frequencies,
Right.
and that gives you this airy sound.
Without it being brittle, because that's the big deal.
Yeah.
As soon as you start pushing up any high end, it usually just turns into crunch.
Yeah.
And then it sounds cheap. This doesn't. This has a kind of a presence to it, which is really kind of beautiful.
And it's also basically what we did is we took the learnings of our past microphone developments and we wanted to make them available for a large audience. Therefore, we focused to putting only the important features and the essence of our circuits into a very small and compact housing.
Big question, but what is your mission? What do you think your mission is?
Well, I think what I'd like to do is basically to dig into the details, to make things really great, to make things outstanding, and to innovate. And that is what we do with our products from day-to-day basis. And my hope is that I can continue to do this as long as possible. Company is now 10 years old, and I would never have thought that I ended up where I am right now. So it was a real thrilling ride. It was not always clear that we will be successful. So I hope I can continue to contribute and do this as long as possible.
Well, thanks ever so much.
My pleasure.
I really appreciate it. Please, as ever, you can leave a bunch of comments and questions below. If there's anything that you really want to know, whether it be product-based or, more importantly, actually I'd like to know a little bit like anybody who's got to the end of this video, for instance, anybody who's here listening to this conversation, share your experiences, because I feel like that is the thing that's most important to me, is the sort of leveling of the playing field, that this connectability that the internet's provided for us. This is really, really important. So please feel free to share your experiences, and have a marvelous time recording and mixing.